Swadika and very good evening and welcome to Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Nad Bunag.
Good evening, I'm Thep Chai Yong. And what you're seeing now is the biggest of all the three rallies being held at the Kasetsart intersection right in front of the Kasetsart University.
So there are three main sites today, the Kaset intersection, the Nonthaburi Pier, and in front of the Bangkok Remand Prison. So these are the three main sites.
The rallies for the past at least 4 days since Friday night when the crackdown took place, the rallies have largely been practically leaderless in the sense that we don't see any visible leaders taking charge of these rallies. Of course, there were speakers on the stage and there were people trying to sort of control the movement of the protesters, but there was no presence of any leaders that we know of. But luckily, I mean, all the rallies so far have been peaceful and have been quite orderly. Yeah. All right, so after weeks of street protests, it appears that Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha has finally come to realize that a solution to the ongoing conflict may lie with the elected representatives of the people. So that's why today he offered full support to a proposal to have an extraordinary parliamentary session to debate for members of both houses to debate and talk about possible ways out from what is definitely the biggest crisis facing him and his government. Today, Prime Minister Prayut spoke to the media for the first time since the violent crackdown on the anti-government protesters at the Pathumwan intersection last Friday. And he admitted that parliamentarians may be the ones who could provide some ideas as to how the current political crisis should be dealt with. He said he agrees with the proposal for a parliamentary session for members of both the House and the Senate to debate the ongoing political conflict and make suggestions for a solution. We are not going to do this under pressure. In fact, the government has been thinking about this for some time, he said of the move for a special parliamentary session. The Prime Minister said the session should be a forum for all facts to be discussed in order to find ways to alleviate the political tensions. He said he will consult with the cabinet during its weekly meeting tomorrow to prepare for the proposed session. Were you surprised or were you shocked by what you saw on Friday night, the crackdown on the peaceful unarmed protester at the Pathumwan intersection?
Actually, there were certain tendencies that the government or the authorities would be inflicted some violence against the protesters. But I didn't...
You were not totally surprised?
Not totally surprised, but I still didn't believe that they would have done that early and in such a circumstance. Of course, like following the situation on the night of the 14th, continuing to the early morning of the 15th, of course, like it was very surprising to me that they announced the enforce of the emergency decree. That was pretty surprised because the thing is like the situation was not called emergency.
And on social media, many people condemned the government for using water cannons and using violence against the protesters. What are your thoughts on this?
I did condemn the government by myself as well, because nothing else to say. The thing is like they were trying to justify that this is the international standard. But I have to mention that the thing is like this international standard that they mentioned about is totally different than what they're trying to mean. The thing is like the way to use a water cannon and you know like this is what we call the anti-riot, right? Not the anti-demonstration, peaceful demonstration. Yeah. So then, of course, like you can see that in many other countries they have utilized it. I mean, in many democratic countries, they have been using this. Of course, like when the situation of demonstration reached to the stage of the riot.
And now the things we are seeing fits the definition of a flash mob now, right? People come and go, making their voices heard, and then arranging the rallies through social media, and something that maybe the authorities are not familiar with.
And then one thing is very necessary is the creativity. And then I admire these demonstrators very much that they are very creative. In each day, there is something new, something very surprising, and something very, actually it draws more sympathetic feelings into the public. And I really think that this is the way that the government never thought about. To announce the emergency decree is already to put more fuel into the fire.
I don't know whether we can see this as the first round of victory for the protesters or not, because the Prime Minister today said that he supports an extraordinary parliamentary session to debate way out for the crisis.
I would love that the Parliament continues solving, having the extraordinary assembly, but the government itself needs to do something more, needs to really responsible for what have been done or what have happened in the past 4 or 5 days. Apart from not trying to take any responsible, the more attempt to try to explain by using very, very unlogical justification that makes the situation even worse. So then apart from the role of the Parliament, the role of the government and the government officials are also very important.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ